All right, let's hop back into the Bitcoin price and go over what happened yesterday and take a look at some potential setups for the day. Yesterday we had a incredible rally back up. Some will probably say it's a historic rally on the markets, which it absolutely is. On Bitcoin, ES, Nasdaq, pretty much everything. Um, so let's take a look at the daily candle. We can see that we have a daily engulfing candle yesterday compared to the previous day before. So that's usually a very, very bullish sign. And we also have acceptance back into the value area. And right now we are being squeezed between the value area low as well as the point of control. So if we want to see some strength out of here and see a full on rotation, we need to get over the point of control. We did have CPI this morning that came back favorable, meaning that inflation has gone down. So let's go to the 4 hour so we can take a little bit more, a closer look at things. First things to note, levels to the downside for potential continuation longs. We have this area here where we have a massive breaker block. I believe this was on the 4, 6, 8, and even 12 hours. So it's a massive zone. Um, and again, I'm concentrating a bit more on the area around this daily as well as the 0.5 of this range, which this is the low to your high. So this breaker block falls within that those two horizontal levels. So I'm not going to put that on the chart because we also have a massive demand zone from here all the way up to here, and it basically just it engulfs pretty much this entire range. So it's kind of irrelevant since it's such a large area to look for a potential long. I'm concentrating more on where we see the confluence in those zones. So we have the 0.5 in the daily, as well as the golden pocket and the naked point of control from yesterday, as well as the point of control on the weekly profile and a daily level down here that is right around the 786. So I'd like to just concentrate. If we do come down here, what does it accumulate? What does this accumulation look like when we get here? So we would need to see something break back bullish. So if we do come down here, for some reason my computer's lagging. So if we do come down here, I would want to kind of see it break back up. Maybe create a small little range, sweep that range, and then break that range, and then enter back in on a retest somewhere in this area. Now, if we're going to remain extremely bullish, I don't want to see it actually lose this value area low and come down to any one of these areas, to be honest with you. However, it's okay if we do. We actually do have a poor low down here, so it's not impossible to come all the way back down and sweep those lows and then continue to the upside. For shorts, we do have a small level of supply here. However, I don't think that's going to hold. I would look to higher levels for a more of a high probability trade. But it depends on how we get there. If we just come up in just a straight candle like this one here, yeah, you definitely have to wait until we get some liquidity taken, you have some breaks, and then you can look for a short. I'm not going to be super aggressive on the shorts because more than likely they're just going to get squeezed. Right here you have a level of liquidity, so this has inducement on this order block, both of these areas. And then we have the value area high up here, which is very close to all these equal highs up here. So I'm still watching that for potential liquidity sweep into this zone as well. So those are the potential shorts and potential longs. Let's take a look at the 5-minute currently. We did have a quick shot up, taking out the liquidity here. So I wouldn't mind to see the same thing from to the downside, take liquidity once more and potentially go up from there. But we're definitely putting in a range here. So we saw that huge expansion. Every time we have a big expansion like that, it's more common than not to start ranging. And then once we start ranging, we usually take out liquidity over and over again. So you have this range here on a low time frame, as well as this here. So you see we took liquidity from this low, we took liquidity from this high, and just waiting to see what the market's going to give us next. So that is pretty much my outlook for today. Again, I would still like to ultimately see this taken, but it wouldn't be uncommon for the market makers to front run this area and leave it behind and leave everyone in the dust, because everyone's kind of looking at this obvious area of demand. I mean, it's a very simple, hey, we just broke up from this range, RIMC, and just mitigate this range for full-on continuation to the upside. But it wouldn't be uncommon for them to leave it behind to continue on and front run that level. But we'll have to wait and see. If we do come down and we're showing signs of a real bearish change of structure, then it could be something to short. However, I'm still waiting for this upper premium area to get hit first. Yeah, so other than that, let's take a look at the higher time frame again. I do want to point out the potential. Let's go to the 4-hour. We do have a potential power of 3 at play here. Let's hide everything else. So we did have the accumulation here with the manipulation to the downside. And now we are retesting this area, potentially to have that expansion all the way back up. So that's also something I'm keeping my eye on. Again, that's another reason why I wouldn't want it to come back down too far here. If anything, I would want to see this breaker block hold and the 0.5 of that fib hold. So right here, around $79,000. And that is it on Bitcoin today. So let's see how this unravels and see what the market gives us, and we'll do another update.